Erwin Rommel, Nazi Germany's most brilliant general. The Desert Fox, a tactical genius who nearly crushed the Allies in North Africa. But what if I told you that Rommel wasn't just fighting a war? What if he was also hiding something? Something worth over £20 million in today's money. Stolen Jewish gold, 6 sealed crates, a secret that went to the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. This is the story you've never heard. The story of Rommel's hidden fortune and the conspiracy that still haunts historians today. North Africa, 1941. The war has transformed into a desert battlefield. British forces control Egypt and the Suez Canal, the lifeline to Britain's empire in the east. If the Nazis can seize the Suez, they will cut Britain off from its oil supplies and cripple the entire Allied war effort in the Mediterranean. Enter Erwin Rommel. He arrives in Libya in February 1941 with modest forces, just 2 divisions. The Italians, Germany's allies, have been crushed by the British. Everyone expects Rommel to dig in defensively. Instead, he attacks. Within weeks, Rommel drives the British back hundreds of miles. His tactics are revolutionary. He moves with lightning speed. He strikes where enemies don't expect. He uses deception and velocity to overwhelm numerically superior forces. The British begin calling him the Desert Fox, a name that will define him forever. By 1942, Rommel is a global legend. He appears on magazine covers worldwide. Even Winston Churchill, his sworn enemy, praises him in Parliament. We have a very daring and skillful opponent against us, and, may I say across the havoc of war, a great general. But behind the glittering legend lies a darker, more sinister story. Because Rommel isn't merely a general commanding troops, he's operating in a theatre of war where Nazi racial policies intersect directly with military strategy. And in 1943, in a small Tunisian location, something extraordinary and deeply disturbing occurs. North Africa, under Nazi occupation, isn't just a military zone. It's a place where the Nazi racial policies are being implemented with ruthless efficiency. Jewish communities, some dating back 2,000 years, face systematic persecution. And in this chaos, an enormous fortune is about to change hands. Rommel oversees this theatre. Whether he directly authorized the plunder or simply allowed it to happen under his command remains one of history's most controversial questions. What we know is this. By 1943, under German occupation in North Africa, a massive wealth extraction operation begins. Precious metals, jewelry, coins, bullion, everything of value is seized from Jewish communities. The amounts are staggering, the scale is industrial, the brutality is absolute. And at the center of this operation is a mystery that has haunted historians, treasure hunters, and intelligence agencies for over 80 years. The mystery of Rommel's gold. Some believe it's still out there hidden at the bottom of the Mediterranean, waiting to be discovered. Others believe it was recovered in secret decades ago, its location known only to a select few. What's certain is this: the treasure, the conspiracy surrounding it, and Rommel's involvement in it, remains one of World War II's greatest unsolved mysteries. And the story of how this treasure came to be, where it went, and what it meant for Rommel's final days is far more complex and far more sinister than anyone realized. Djerba, a small, ancient island off the Tunisian coast. For more than 2 millennia, it has been home to one of North Africa's oldest and most established Jewish communities, families with roots stretching back to the Roman Empire itself. A thriving commercial centre with centuries of tradition and wealth accumulated through generations of trade, craftsmanship, and banking. In 1943, that ancient community faces its darkest hour. Walter Rauff arrives on the island. An SS officer of particular notoriety, Rauff doesn't report to Rommel directly, he answers to Heinrich Himmler and the Nazi SS hierarchy. But his mission is connected to the broader occupation that Rommel commands. Rauff's orders are explicit and merciless. Extract every ounce of wealth from the Jewish population by any means necessary. What follows is systematic plunder. Jewish families are rounded up. Businesses are extorted at gunpoint. Homes are ransacked, synagogues are entered and desecrated, community treasures accumulated over centuries are seized, gold coins disappear, jewelry is confiscated, melted scrap is collected, precious artifacts vanish. Witnesses describe scenes of unimaginable brutality, families forced to hand over their life savings, elderly members of the community threatened with deportation to concentration camps, children watching as their family heirlooms are loaded into trucks. Within weeks, an astronomical fortune is assembled. Estimates place the total at over £20 million in 1943 currency, the equivalent of hundreds of millions in today's money. But here's where the narrative becomes murky. The treasure is packed into 6 sealed crates, heavy lead-lined boxes, marked with Nazi insignia, locked with military precision, guarded constantly by armed SS soldiers. The original plan is clear. Transport this fortune back to Berlin, add it to the Nazi regime's war chest, convert it into resources for continued military operations or post-war reconstruction. But the war isn't cooperating with Nazi plans. By late 1943, the military situation has deteriorated catastrophically for Germany. The Allies are advancing in North Africa. Italian partisans are ambushing German convoys. Allied bombers control the skies. Any large shipment moving across occupied territories faces extreme risk of interception or destruction. Moving £20 million in gold across a war zone isn't just difficult, it's nearly impossible. So a decision is made. The 6 crates disappear. They vanish from official records. No documentation exists of their final destination. No inventory confirms their location. No manifest records where they went. And from that moment forward, one of World War II's greatest treasures becomes one of its greatest mysteries. The military refers to it obliquely in classified documents. Historians write about it speculatively. Treasure hunters search for it obsessively. Intelligence agencies have classified files about it that remain sealed decades later. And it becomes known throughout history as Rommel's gold, not because Rommel personally stole it, not because he directly ordered its seizure, but because his name has become synonymous with it, perhaps fairly, perhaps unfairly, and because his connection to it extends beyond simple geography. Because what happened to Rommel after the war, and the circumstances of his death, are inextricably linked to the mystery of the treasure. By late 1943, the Nazi position in North Africa has completely collapsed. Rommel has been recalled to Germany. The Allies advance relentlessly. The 6 crates of stolen gold are still somewhere in Tunisia, in Italy, at sea, but no one knows precisely where. According to post-war testimony, some of it contradictory and much of it unverifiable, the treasure was moved under conditions of extreme secrecy. It was concealed with military precision. Classified protocols governed its movement. Only a select few knew its location. When no safe route to Berlin remained viable, a desperate decision was made. The gold would be hidden in a location where it could be recovered after Germany won the war. Of course, Germany wouldn't win the war, and the treasure was never officially recovered. One witness account stands above all others. Peter Fleig, a 21-year-old German naval diver, highly trained in underwater operations. According to his post-war testimony, in September 1943, he was ordered to participate in an extraordinary operation. The 6 crates, Fleig claims, were loaded onto a small military vessel. They sailed to the waters near Bastia, Corsica, and then Fleig performed an operation that would echo through history. He dove repeatedly into deep Mediterranean waters, carrying the heavy lead-lined crates down to the seabed. One by one, he claims. He positioned them on the ocean floor at a marked location. The depth was noted. The coordinates were recorded on classified maps. The plan was elegantly simple. Wait for Germany to win the war, then recover the treasure with precise calculations and dedicated operations. Except Germany lost the war, and the treasure remained on the seabed. For over 80 years, treasure hunters, adventurers, and professional salvage operations have searched those Corsican waters. Sonar readings have been conducted, dives have been attempted, theories have been proposed. Some searchers claim to have found evidence unusual debris patterns, anomalies in the seabed, artifacts consistent with Nazi-era metallurgy. But the 6 crates have never been definitively located or recovered. The mystery deepens with unanswered questions. Was Peter Fleig truthful in his account, or was his story a deliberate fabrication designed to throw investigators off the trail? If the crates are on the seabed, why hasn't modern technology located them? Why haven't salvage operations recovered them? Or were they never thrown into the sea at all? Were they instead hidden somewhere in southern Europe in caves, in mountain strongholds, in secret warehouses known only to a handful of people? Were they recovered in secret years or decades after the war by former Nazis, by Allied intelligence agencies with classified objectives, or by criminal opportunists who stumbled onto the location by accident? Did parts of the treasure reach Switzerland, Argentina, or other neutral countries known to harbour Nazi assets? Historians remain divided. Some believe the gold is still waiting on the Mediterranean seabed, preserved in the cold, salt water, waiting for the right technology and the right team to discover it. Others theorize it was recovered decades ago and kept hidden by parties still unknown. What's indisputable is this: Rommel's name remains forever attached to this treasure, and the mystery endures unsolved, enigmatic, tantalizing the imagination of anyone fascinated by World War II's hidden histories. But the real story, the story that connects Rommel personally to the gold and explains his mysterious death, is about to emerge. While the mystery of the 6 golden crates remains unsolved, Rommel's own fate is well documented, though deeply controversial. By 1944, Rommel has been transferred from North Africa to France. He's now commanding the Atlantic Wall defences, preparing for the inevitable Allied invasion. He's responsible for the entire western front of Nazi-occupied Europe. But something fundamental has changed in Rommel. He no longer believes Germany can win the war. He sees the devastation of German cities under Allied bombing campaigns. He witnesses Hitler's increasingly irrational decisions. He understands that the war is mathematically unwinnable, and he begins to question the very loyalty that has defined his career. This internal transformation sets the stage for one of World War II's most significant conspiracies. In the summer of 1944, a group of high-ranking German officers, politicians, and intelligence officials hatch an audacious plot. Their objective is simple but extraordinary: assassinate Adolf Hitler, eliminate the leadership of the Nazi regime, negotiate a separate peace with the Allies. The conspiracy is known as the 20 July Plot, or Operation Valkyrie. The plan involves a bomb, a specially designed device hidden in a briefing case. The bomb is detonated during a military conference where Hitler is present. In the chaos following the explosion, the conspirators seize control of government and military apparatus. Hitler is dead. The Nazi regime is decapitated. A new government can immediately begin peace negotiations with Britain and America. The conspirators believe they can end the war, save millions of lives, restore Germany's honor. But did Rommel know about the plot? Was he directly involved? The historical evidence is frustratingly ambiguous. Some historians, particularly those sympathetic to Rommel, argue he was aware of discussions about removing Hitler but opposed assassination on moral grounds. He may have provided tacit support or looked the other way, but he did not actively participate in planning. Other historians, particularly those more critical of Rommel's legacy, argue he was more directly involved. That he knew assassination was being discussed, that he possibly provided intelligence, that he was part of a broader network of dissidents plotting Hitler's removal. What is absolutely certain is this: after the bomb plot fails on the 20th of July 1944, the Gestapo begins a massive investigation. Everyone connected to the conspirators faces interrogation, torture, execution, and Rommel's name emerges in the investigation. Former colleagues begin talking under Gestapo torture. They mention conversations with Rommel. They reference his doubts about the war. They recall his statements about the need for peace. Some may have been fabricating connections to protect themselves or to eliminate a rival. By September 1944, Rommel is implicated. Hitler is enraged. The Desert Fox, once his favored general, is now suspected of treason. The Führer faces a dilemma. Publicly executing Rommel would devastate German morale. Rommel is beloved by the German people. A public trial would expose the conspiracy too widely and damage the regime's credibility, so Hitler chooses a different path. On the 14th of October 1944, two generals arrive at Rommel's home near Ulm. They deliver a message from Hitler himself. Rommel must choose between two options. Option 1. Stand trial for treason. Face the Gestapo and the People's Court. B. Executed after a public humiliation. Option 2. Commit suicide immediately. Be buried with full military honours. His family will be protected. His reputation will be preserved. He will be remembered as a great general, not a traitor. Rommel understands the implication. If he refuses suicide, his family will be murdered. His memory will be destroyed. His legend will be erased. He chooses suicide. On the 14th of October 1944, Rommel takes poison. He dies in the car on the way to the hospital. Officially, it's announced as a heart attack brought on by wounds he suffered in North Africa. The world accepts this narrative, but historians still debate. Did Rommel truly support the assassination plot? Was he genuinely sympathetic to overthrowing Hitler? Or was he simply caught in the web of conspiracy through association with other officers? The answer may never be known. Here's what haunts historians most about Erwin Rommel: the intersection of three mysteries that may or may not be connected. Mystery 1. The 6 crates of stolen gold, £20 million in treasure, hidden somewhere on the seabed or on land, never officially recovered, never accounted for in post-war reparations. Mystery 2. Rommel's involvement in the plunder of North African Jewish communities. How much did he know? How much did he authorize? How much did he merely tolerate? Mystery 3. His connection to the 20 July plot. How deeply was he involved? Did he actively participate, or was he merely suspected? And here's the question that ties them together. Were all three connected? Was there a larger conspiracy not just to assassinate Hitler, but to preserve Nazi assets, including the stolen gold? Some historians propose a provocative theory. Rommel, they suggest, may have been part of a conspiracy among senior Nazi officers to secure the regime's hidden wealth. As the Allies advanced and Nazi defeat became inevitable, these officers understood that gold would be more valuable than ideology. The 6 crates of treasure weren't simply buried in the Mediterranean, they were hidden as part of a larger plan to preserve Nazi resources for post-war survival. This theory suggests that elements of Rommel's conspiracy with other officers went beyond merely assassinating Hitler. It involved securing assets, creating escape routes, establishing financial networks that would allow Nazi leadership to survive, regroup, and potentially rebuild in neutral countries like Argentina, Spain, or Switzerland. In this interpretation, Rommel's death becomes even more sinister. He wasn't executed simply for opposing Hitler. He was eliminated because he knew too much about the hidden treasure. He was a liability who needed to be removed. Is this theory credible? Many mainstream historians dismiss it as speculation. The evidence is circumstantial at best, but classified documents from Allied intelligence agencies remain sealed, preventing definitive answers. What we know factually: the 6 crates of gold are never recovered or accounted for. Substantial Nazi assets do mysteriously disappear during the war's final stages. Multiple high-ranking Nazis escape after the war with unexplained wealth. Operation Paperclip and other post-war intelligence operations prioritize locating Nazi scientists and assets. Classified files about Rommel remain sealed by multiple governments. What remains unknown: the precise location of the 6 crates, whether they were ever recovered and hidden again, the extent of Rommel's personal involvement in the plunder, his actual level of participation in the 20 July conspiracy, what he knew about larger schemes to preserve Nazi assets. The legacy of mystery. Rommel remains one of history's most enigmatic figures. A brilliant military tactician, a man of honor according to some, a participant in war crimes according to others. a potential hero in the resistance to Hitler, or merely a self-serving officer protecting his reputation. The truth, whatever it is, died with him in 1944, and the 6 crates of gold, if they still exist, remain hidden, guarding their secrets in the deep Mediterranean waters or in some undiscovered location, waiting for someone to finally uncover the truth. Today, Erwin Rommel is remembered as a military genius. His tactics are studied in war colleges worldwide. His campaigns are analyzed by military historians. His reputation as an honorable Nazi general has been partially rehabilitated by historians who argue he was different from the regime he served. But this sanitized version of Rommel obscures a more complex reality. Rommel was a brilliant general, but he was also a commander in a genocidal regime. Whether he actively participated in war crimes or merely facilitated them through his command authority, the distinction may be meaningless to the victims. The 6 crates of gold represent more than treasure. They represent the systematic theft from communities targeted for extermination. They represent the commercialization of genocide. They represent the moral compromise that all senior officers in the Nazi military made simply by serving. Rommel's death, whether suicide, execution, or something in between, represents the regime eating its own. The conspiracy to overthrow Hitler among the military elite reveals the deep fractures in Nazi leadership. But it also reveals that even those who opposed Hitler were often motivated by practical concerns about losing the war, not by moral opposition to the regime's fundamental ideology. The mystery of Rommel's gold remains unsolved. Treasure hunters still search the Mediterranean. Historians still debate his involvement. Intelligence agencies still keep documents classified. Perhaps that's fitting. The mystery mirrors the complexity of the man himself. A military genius who served evil. A potential conspirator who may have discovered too much. A legend whose reputation obscures uncomfortable truths. And 6 sealed crates of gold, somewhere in the depths of the sea or hidden in some secret location, guarding mysteries that may never be revealed. Erwin Rommel was more than just the desert fox. He was a man caught between loyalty, ambition, and survival. His legacy remains contested, his secrets preserved, his mysteries unsolved. But this raises profound questions. How many other secrets like this are hidden in history? How many mysteries surround the figures we thought we understood? What truths are still locked away in classified vaults, waiting for the documents to be released? The story of Rommel's gold is a reminder that history is rarely as simple or as heroic as we're taught. Behind the legends are shadows. Behind the glory are secrets. If you want to discover more untold World War II stories, hidden operations that shaped history, and secrets that have been buried for decades, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Drop a comment below. What do you think happened to Rommel's gold? And what other World War II mysteries should we investigate? Because history isn't just about battles and generals. It's about the hidden wars, the wars of secrets, treasure, and power that determined the fate of nations. Next video, we investigate Operation Paperclip, how the Allies secretly recruited thousands of Nazi scientists after the war. What deals were made?